All right, so here's a subject I haven't talked about in a while, and it is about sex work, specifically sex workers. And the article is Belgium becomes first country to give sex workers robust labor rights and protections, which is great because it's a job. Yes, there are some people who are forced into that work, but there are also people who choose it. The way some people choose to work at McDonald's. So, not ideal, maybe not something that they would have chosen if they had their druthers, but it's a job. So, let's get to the article. Belgium made history on Sunday as the first country in the world to allow sex workers to sign formal employment contracts, granting them access to sick days, maternity pay, and pension. Which again is great. The new law also guarantees fundamental rights for sex workers, including the ability to refuse clients, set the conditions of an act, and stop an act at any moment. Again, great. Because, again, not all women who are sex workers are victims. They're not all being trafficked. There are women who actually want to be sex workers. Now, whether you agree with that or not, that's not for you to say. But they should be kept safe and they should be treated decently. Because once you have those laws in place, it becomes harder to exploit people. Anyway, lawmakers passed the law in May, but it officially took effect on Sunday. And I do not remember, I forgot to look up if I actually did a video when the law was passed or not. I am a very proud Belgian sex worker right now, Malicious, who is part of the Belgian Union of Sex Workers, or UTSOPI, said on her Instagram. People are now already working in the industry will be much more protected, and also people who are going to work in the industry also know what their rights are, which again is great because it is a job. I got a lot of crap in my previous video, and I see a lot of crap online about people bemoaning that sex trafficking will happen. Not if they are protected. You only can traffic workers if they don't have the protections to prevent abuse. If they have some nominal protections, it makes it harder to abuse them. Not impossible, because let's face it, you can abuse workers in literally any industry in that regard. But it makes it harder. Offering or paying for sexual services was already not legal in Belgium. Instead, laws targeted brothels and third parties supporting sex work, such as landlords, bankers, drivers, often accusing them of pimping. In 2022, Belgian lawmakers voted to decriminalize sex work and narrow the definition of pimping to ensure that sex workers do not have trouble finding a banker, insurer, driver, or accountant, according to UTSOPL, which is great because you shouldn't get into trouble legally just because you're associated with a sex worker. Because even though you're not targeting the worker per se. You're still targeting the worker because you're making it impossible for them to make any money. So if you're going to make their lives that hard, why not just go after them? So yeah, this is great that they're protecting the workers, they're protecting those around them, so nobody gets into trouble for supporting them, because that's just dumb all around. The new law goes further and gives sex workers labor rights and protections on par with those in other professions. Again, great. That includes access to pensions, unemployment, health insurance, family benefits, annual vacation, and maternity leave. Employers are now required to obtain authorization and meet background requirements such as having no prior convictions for sexual assault, human trafficking, or fraud. They are also required to ensure their premises are clean, sanitary, and equipped with a panic button, and are prohibited from dismissing an employee who refuses a client or a specific act. All amazing. Because again, it's really hard it's hardly an incentive to traffic people into sex work if there's no benefit for the trafficker, because it would not be easy for them to get someone into sex work, especially if it's someone who doesn't want to be there to begin with. So yeah, these changes were years in the making in Belgium. The sex worker union, which had already been leading the effort, said that before sex workers had access to these benefits, workers felt that they had to keep working several months into their pregnancy or past retirement age. Now that's just ew. I mean, who the hell would want to have sex with someone who's really pregnant? That just, I mean, I could understand the employers forcing that, because employers, if you don't keep them in check, can very much suck. But what client would want to do that? I mean, that they would even possibly seek it out. That's just bizarre to me. So why make them? And past retirement age? Well, I guess, now that people live so long, I guess past retirement age, the women still have their looks, if that's the reason that they're chosen. So I guess in that regard, but otherwise, why? Seriously, you would think that this would be a young woman, that employers would want to employ younger women. Now, I'm not talking children, but in a woman's prime or whatever. I guess because the older women don't have to worry about getting pregnant because, well, menopause. But other than that, I don't know. I would think that, I guess there would be plenty of older clients. I don't know. But forcing anybody to stay in any profession sucks. They should be able to save away money so they can retire and they can live a decent life post-retirement. This law is a huge step forward, ending legal discrimination against sex workers by allowing a full-fledged contract, the group said back in May. These protections are only granted to sex workers who sign an employment contract and not those who are self-employed. Those who perform pornography or striptease are also not covered by the law. So basically, it only covers brothels. But that's still a step in the right direction. Though it would be nice if those who are self-employed or who do porn or strip, they should get those benefits as well, because the self-employed are actually, you would expect to be even in greater danger than those who work in brothels. And same with working in strip clubs and probably porn as well. So the exploitation is ripe. So yeah, hopefully they're able to get the benefits as well eventually. Prostitution has only been decriminalized in a handful of places around the world, including New Zealand, the Netherlands, and some parts of Australia. But Belgium is alone in offering the new level of comprehensive labor protections. Now, notice nowhere does it say it's legal, just decriminalized, which at that point might as well be legal, because nobody is going after you for it being a crime. So I never understood that distinction, but okay. In the U.S., Nevada is the only state where brothels are allowed, but prostitution outside of brothels remains illegal. In recent years, New York and California moved to decriminalizing loitering with the intent to engage in sex work. Last year, Maine removed penalties for those selling sexual services, but kept in place laws against those buying sexual services. And considering that OnlyFans exists, I'm surprised that there isn't more of a flood of decriminalization or legalization, because what the hell do you think OnlyFans is? Just because it's pornographic photos doesn't change the fact that it is that people don't consider themselves sex workers. Anyway, I was thinking of Nevada when I was saying that this is great for Belgium, because if you look at the sex workers in Nevada brothels, and this isn't just women, it's men too, even though my understanding is it's not as popular. But, they're able to get the things that they need. They get tested. They have control over their bodies. It's not like the client has the control or the employer has the control. They have the control, which is the way it should be. Just because you're engaging in sex work doesn't mean that you're giving up control. You're not. Let's see. Now, the law, the decriminalization of in New York and California, that's obviously going to be streetwalkers, because, well, I guess it's possible to have an underground brothel. I guess that's possible, but it sounds more like streetwalkers, which again is great, because again, if it is the more protections sex workers get, the less chance there is to abuse them. Now, the law in Maine, I don't understand that. You're not penalizing those who are sex workers, but you're going to penalize those who are interested in buying their services. Again, isn't that just a roundabout way of penalizing the sex workers? Because it's just basically scaring away business. So I fail to see how I guess that's a step in the right direction because they probably previously had penalties on sex workers, but is that really any better? I don't think so. I really don't think so because it's just, again, keeping these people vulnerable. Because the people who are going to um that are going to seek out these services are going to be people who are law abiding. So, they don't want to get caught, or they don't care if they get caught or whatever. So you're ending up putting women, mostly women, in a position where they're getting clients that are already scum. Because if you think about it, it isn't just this myth of the married man who is paying for these services behind their spouse's back. No, it could be single people, it could be aromantic asexuals who, are interested in taking care of a need, but, obviously they're not going to seek out a romantic partner because that just doesn't do it for them. It's just a every once in a while type thing that they don't want to masturbate, buy these services. Who knows? But it doesn't necessarily have to be just married people. It could be single people who, for whatever reason, are seeking out these services. Why are we penalizing them for seeking them out if it's perfectly okay for people to sell? That makes no sense. We don't do that with any other sector. That it's okay to sell certain things, but don't you dare actually buy these products. Seriously, how does that help anybody? Anyway, that is all I have for this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.